Well, it's the day after Christmas. Had a beautiful day at home. Quiet, but very restful. So today I am sort of getting ready. There's a huge storm coming in later today, and you know, it takes a certain amount of preparation. I've taken out my compost. Just took my garbage and recycling to the bottom of the hill. I'm here at the post office. I've dropped off a package that I sold online over the weekend. I have found, to my surprise, that there's a huge correlation between actually listing things and selling things. So on my way back home, I picked up the small amount of mail I had there, and I'm going to pick what I have up in the mailbox on the highway. I have all of my important mail going to the P.O. box because our boxes are right there on the highway. So I'm just going to see what junk mail's in there and clear it out, and then head home and start preparing for the storm and preparing to be hanging around at the house for a day or two. Well, made it home. Let's take a little walk around the property and see what things look like before the deluge. Strangely enough, even in the winter, everything looks beautiful to my eyes here. The cactuses seem to be doing well, though a little beleaguered from the rain. I've come to the conclusion if they can't make it out here without a minimum of babying, then I can't have it. I have these two huge grow bags up here that I don't know quite what to do with them, so I thought I'd use them for winter root vegetables. For some reason in the summer things don't go too well. So I did plant some of these, I think they're called nopales. They're edible cactuses. I thought if anything can stand the direct heat up here, they can. And I'm starting to get some garlic coming up. I got some garlic, regular garlic, and some elephant garlic. And I think the regular garlic is coming up because the elephant garlic was on the other side, and I don't see any signs of that. Over here in this one, I planted a bunch of sprouting potatoes, and I'm just going to let them hang out until they decide to sprout, just like they do in the compost bins. Now, I don't remember if I planted onions or garlic in here, but they are all coming up. So I guess we'll see. This little gully is a catchment creek for whatever's coming down the mountain. It comes down the mountain, it takes a right and goes down the side of the property here. I don't know how well you can see it. Once water's running in, you'll see it plenty good. This whole little meadow is just lovely, but you really can't do too much here because when it rains, boy, this whole area can get flooded. I've seen water come down here, just overflow. So I leave it as it is. In the evening, these bay trees, there's tons of bay trees everywhere, really give up this amazing scent. And I've noticed even in the winter, if you're standing around enough of them, it's just like incredible. This little pond here is fed by a tiny spring, and it's always flowing. A little bit of algae right now. There's some salamanders or newts or something that live in there. So that's kind of cool. It then continues on as a creek. Here's some of that creek in action. No matter what time of year, there is always life here. It is the most beautiful place to be. So before I went out, I got some apples ready for apple pie. I'm having a good friend of mine come by tomorrow. He's going down the mountain. We were going to meet at a cafe, and then I said, why are we doing that? They'll have to backtrack in another direction. So I said, why don't you just come here, and he'll bring some stuff, and I'll have some stuff. But I made all the filling here earlier, and the crust, and I'm going to put this in. I always find pies are best the day before. I might make some other goodies. We'll see how the day goes, but I'm starting with this, and I think apple pie is always a good place to start. While the pie was in the oven, I thought I'd got some cookie doughs going. So I had 2 packages. This is my last package of the pumpkin spice cookies that were such a hit, and I had a package of gingerbread. So I went ahead and made the gingerbread and put it in the refrigerator to harden up so I could cut some cookies out of it. I like to bake real tiny little cookies with this. I have a little gingerbread man here, and I have a star. I'd like to get a tree also. I thought I had one, but maybe I just didn't look. The cookie cutters are under the house. It's a little bit of a hassle to pull them out and look for it. But anyway, this is ready to be rolled out. And then, of course, the pumpkin spice. I had accidentally picked up some mini chocolate chips instead of big chocolate chips. And actually, I like them better. While I was doing this, I got a phone call from my friend. He was supposed to pass through tomorrow, but due to the weather, he decided to pass through today, and he was going to be at my house in 20 minutes. So, no problem. I got tea organized. I got some pumpkin spice chocolate chip cookies out of the freezer, and of course, I had the pie ready, and by the time he came, everything was ready. We had the most wonderful time. We finished up almost all the pie. I sent him home with the last piece, ate cookies, drank tea, talked, and laughed. Time just flies when you're with a good friend. At the 3-hour mark or so, we could see that the wind was throwing the leaves around. The sun was already going down, and he still had another half hour to go up the mountain. So we said goodbye. He brought me some books to read, and I'm excited to read both of them. What a great thing to leave someone right before a storm. It's just perfect. After he left, I changed out the Christmas tablecloth for this tablecloth. I really love it. I'm really getting into these cloth tablecloths. Next time I go thrifting, I'm going to look for some more. Well, it's definitely time for dinner, so I decided I was going to make a pizza. I have one of these crusts. I actually have a couple of these crusts from Walmart. They're just so great when you want to have a pizza without going through all the trouble of making dough from scratch. So I'm going to be putting it on this foil and then putting it in my New Wave oven. I did it before with the parchment paper, and somehow it didn't come out so great. The bottom of the crust was not crispy. So I prepared my dough already. This is going to be like the biggest pizza in the world, but I'm going to spread it out on here and then start adding toppings. I've used a little less than half the dough. I have some of this sauce left. I made some pasta and some other stuff a couple days ago, so I'm going to spread it out. First, this is really good. It's really good sauce. Some of these packaged sauces are terrible. Some of them are way better than you could ever make yourself, or at least I could make. It's good enough, and it looks like there's enough for one more pizza. I made for toppings. I have some of this plant-based cheese. I also have some mushrooms I pulled out of the freezer, and I have some zucchini from the refrigerator, some sun-dried tomatoes, olives, some garlic, and red onions. So I'm going to start with the cheese. Get a layer of that. I don't like it overly cheesy, but I do like some cheese. Sometimes I don't even put cheese on my pizza. It just depends on my mood. There we go. And I'm going to put these mushrooms on. Hopefully they will. I ran them under some warm water to kind of thaw them out. We'll see what happens. I like mushrooms. I have a friend who uses them frozen all the time. He says they come out fine. So we'll see. You really can't go wrong with mushrooms anyway. And here's for the rest. Got my zucchini. It's going to be a good vegetable style pizza. Just good to use up stuff in the refrigerator. That's what I like to do. I'm going to put some garlic around. Just sort of spread it out. Pat it on. Spread some olives around. Some onions. And finally the sun-dried tomatoes. I get a big jars of this at Grocery Outlet. It's just great in salads and all sorts of stuff. I've never had it on a pizza, so we'll see how this goes. Well, I'm feeling confident this is ready to go in the oven, and we'll see what comes out. Well, here it is looking pretty darn good. The only thing I would have done differently is to put the sun-dried tomatoes underneath the vegetables. They're looking good, but some of them got a little charred there in the time it took to get the crust crispy. But they're still tasty. It's just I would do that in a different order. Just try a piece and it's absolutely delicious. Glad I used the foil instead of the parchment paper under the pizza this time. It made for a better crust. I'm out here on the porch. The storm and the rain came in about half an hour after I finished dinner. It's a wonderful sound. Filling our springs, our ponds, our reservoirs, and nourishing the state and the mountain. I've had a beautiful day today, very productive and very enjoyable. Getting ready, I was busy. I usually get up around 5 o'clock in the morning, and so I'm getting a little worn out at this point. I have a nice cup of tea, and I'm going to turn off the lights in a minute and enjoy sitting here in the dark and listening to the rain. I hope you are all doing well and are safe, warm, and content. Thank you so much for spending this day with me.